Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today I've invited Hira Saeed to talk about entrepreneurship. We'll be discussing the journey of a solo founder. Let's just first get to know about Hira. Hi Hira, Assalamu alaikum. कैसी हैं आप?
Hi, Muaaz. Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum assalam. आप कैसे हैं? I'm fine.
मैं ठीक alhamdulillah. I appreciate your time and we are curious to know about you and your journey. So let's just introduce yourself kindly.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thank you uh for inviting me on this podcast. I'm sure your audience loves what you create, and I hope that I will be able to add any value to it. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, so I've seen actually you have some startups and so we'll just first get to know about क्या आपकी story क्या है, ठीक है ना? How you started, what's currently going on, and then we'll move further. Say ना कि क्या किस तरह से what's the role of what's basically the journey of a solo founder, ठीक है ना? क्योंकि again it's a pretty hectic yet interesting roller coaster ride. ठीक है so we'll add on to the things लेकिन पहले हम जानते हैं कि भाई आपका startup क्या है and what's considered.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So I started my career around 8 to 9 years ago as a digital marketer, and I think within 2 to 3 years, I realized that one thing that I really loved about this entire internet world was basically creating content. And then after 3 4 years of working in the corporate sector, I did my journalism diploma, and I worked as a journalist for almost a year and a half, covering tech stories from Pakistan. उसी टाइम पे ही I fell in love with startup ecosystem of Pakistan, and I started organizing startup weekend in Karachi. आप लोग अगर नेस्ट आयो को जानते हैं, so I was one of their entrepreneur in residence, and I was mentoring a lot of startups there. So उस time पे basically I got acquainted with this entire ecosystem. Then year 2018 I moved to the US in San Francisco, and I worked with an accelerator there called Miller Center for Social Entrepreneurship. And meanwhile, I was also running my own copywriting agency because just सब कुछ journalism में और की stories इतने साल लिख लिख के सीखा था. I was basically providing the similar services to clients worldwide. And then जब मैं पाकिस्तान वापस आई in year 2019, so I started my own accelerator, but that is only focused on women-led startups. So my love for startups plus my goal or mission or aim to bring more women in business, basically I combined both of them, and I started Caterpillars. So I do two things right now. I run this organization called Caterpillars, and we are an online accelerator for female-led startups in Pakistan. And I also work as a part-time consultant where I help entrepreneurs all around the world on their content strategy and also on their personal branding strategy as well.
Should I call you like among the pioneers in this digital marketing thing in Pakistan? Because
No,
आठ 10 साल
I don't.
पहले तो बहुत
Yeah, that would be unfair. I think I didn't do a lot in digital marketing industry, to be very honest. And I feel there are a lot of other people who know a lot more than me. Mera area has always been more towards content because that's what I loved doing back then as well. And even if now when I don't do it full time, I still love creating content. I still love writing. So I think it would be unfair for all of the other people who know a lot about digital marketing to them if you call me pioneer. I just started my career as a digital marketer, and I still enjoy doing it.
perfect. So you've seen it evolving. ये तो for sure आपके सामने की journey होगी. ते
Yeah.
how do you see कि पिछले 10 साल में you must have seen a major shift for sure.
Yes, that's a really interesting question. So I think this time पे आज से 8 साल पहले जब मेरी first internship that I started doing, I still remember. I mean, that job taught me a lot of things. But one thing that I hated the most time पे the entire digital industry पाकिस्तान में इतनी nuanced stage पे थी कि everything was just combined. Search engine optimization versus content versus social media. Everyone used to think this is all one thing. So you do something on the internet, but nobody knows what do you do exactly. So I started my career as that all-rounder as well. My whole job internship with मेरी थी, I only used to like submit press release on the web the entire day, and I still don't know why I used to do it, but that was it. So I think I've seen that industry growing from there to now. when people are actually now realizing how many things you can do in this industry. Her space की एक different job categories हैं, and now people are basically building their entire digital marketing department, even in institutions like banks. उस टाइम पे तो I don't think so किसी बैंक को ख्याल भी आया होगा कि उनको सोशल मीडिया पे आना भी चाहिए. Governments were not using it. Nobody was using it basically. So yeah, I think it kind of fascinates me even more now that how this industry has grown, especially in Pakistan, and how many people take interest in it now.
True. And I believe उस जमाने में एक सबसे बड़ा मसला जो आएगा जरा वो ये होगा कि कन्वेंशनल मीडिया की जो इम्पोर्टेंस थी वो 10 साल पहले तो आई बिलीव बहुत ज्यादा थी है ना. इवन इफ आई सी इट तो पिछले 5 साल में वो चीज कम हुई है, लेकिन अगर डिजिटल पे लोग ज्यादा मूव हुए हैं. ठीक है. इवन देयर आर सम एमएनसीज एंड देयर आर सम जायंट्स सो बेसिकली टोटली जो है वो कन्वेंशनल मीडिया से डिजिटल में मूव हो चुके हैं. लेकिन इट टुक टाइम एक्चुअली. एंड you talked about those banks and all, even the MNCs, they totally relied basically on the conventional media. उनको टीवी पे ऐड चलाने हैं, उनको है ना वो प्रिंट मीडिया में ऐड चलाने हैं. ठीक है ना. एंड those conventional methods. लेकिन with the passage of time ultimately in the last 5 years I would say कि पाकिस्तान में digital game it's like grown exponentially. बहुत 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 ज़्यादा मेजर. And furthermore, how was your experience with the Nest IO? I mean, that's one thing. So, there are some, they call the entrepreneur residences nestlings, I believe.
Yeah, they call it nestlings. Yeah.
So how was your journey with that? As a nestling.
Yeah, so I wouldn't call myself a nestling because I think nestlings वो होते हैं जो as a startup nest में जाते हैं and then they graduate. So I was one of their entrepreneur in residence. Entrepreneur EIRs अलग होते हैं. I think they just use the nest की space और वो startups को mentor करते हैं. So I only was with Nest as as an EIR. मैंने कभी as a startup Nest के साथ involvement नहीं की. But to answer your question, I think my first fascination with this startup ecosystem was because of Nest, and obviously because of the space that Jihan has built, and because of her aura, because of how compassionate she is. So I think just by being there and just by building that space, Jihan has provided a lot to the ecosystem. अभी तो बाकी other contributions की तो मैं बात ही नहीं कर रही. It's just by building that space and just by being there. So I think people like me, we grew up getting fascinated by Pakistan tech ecosystem because of the Nest in Karachi. And Karachi में उस time पे, Karachi is such a huge city to be very honest, कि हाँ sometimes अगर आप एक industry पे जरा सी भी attention ना दें, so you don't even realize कि कितनी potential उसके अंदर है. And I think Nest के बाद ही जो है जितने सारे co-working spaces, incubators and accelerators actually paid attention to that potential. So yeah, I think my experience has with them has been tremendous. I still do my engagements time to time with the Nest, either as a speaker, either as a mentor. But yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Perfect. So what's this EIR? इसको थोड़ा सा बताएंगी? Entrepreneurs in residence.
Yeah, so EIR is like another like a kind of like fancy term that incubate working spaces and accelerators use. So entrepreneurs in residence are basically any entrepreneur who has been working on their own companies. They just they just can kind of like get associated with an accelerator or incubator and provide their service as a barter to their entrepreneurs. And they in return use the space, use the resources that an accelerator has put in place. सो जो स्टार्टअप्स होते हैं वो बेसिकली पूरा कोहॉर्ट में ग्रेजुएट हो रहे होते हैं, चीजें पढ़ रहे होते हैं. हमारा काम सिर्फ ये होता था कि वी वर देयर टू हेल्प नेस्ट आउट एंड वी वर यूजिंग नेस्ट की स्पेस, उनकी रिसोर्सेज यूज कर रहे थे. और जहाँ जहाँ स्टार्टअप्स को मेंटरिंग की जरूरत होती थी, दे जस्ट दे वी यूज्ड टू बी एज देयर काइंड ऑफ लाइक सपोर्टर, कि उनको गाइड कर दिया किसी चीज पे. आई थिंक दिस इज व्हाट द डेफिनेशन वाज इन पाकिस्तान. But in obviously in countries outside Pakistan, they have very specific roles for EIRs in accelerators and incubators.
Perfect. So it's basically about the people के आपको space दिया गया है and आप उसमें you're there, say ना, and you get mentored by the people, say ना, with just to get more help in the idea what you're pursuing.
Yeah, so for me it was a win-win to be very honest, because जितने startups वहाँ थे उनसे engagement से मेरे भी contacts बनते थे. I used to learn a lot from them. और plus जो मेरा experience जो है वो था 3 4 5 साल का जितना भी, I was guiding them on a lot of other things as well. There were one-to-one mentoring sessions as well. There were guest speaker sessions as well. So I used to host them for Nest. So it was just like having an expert in house instead of like inviting somebody over multiple times. I think that would be the definition of EIR.
Perfect.
Yeah.
अच्छा एक इशू पाकिस्तान में जो हम लोग यूजुअली कंसिडर करते हैं इन द मे बी इन एजुकेशन एंड करियर के लोग बोलते हैं यार मेंटोर्स की कमी है. When I see this, these incubation centers or the work Jahar is doing, so basically मुझे लगता है कहीं ना कहीं it actually has helped many people a lot. Apart from human entrepreneurship,
Mm.
for many people, for the those millennials जो चाहते थे कि भाई they create impact on society, वो कुछ अपना करें, building a community and getting things done. सही है.
Yeah.
So I believe वो जो mentorship वाला part था वो भी कहीं ना कहीं टेक के अंदर पाकिस्तान में especially in Karachi and some part in Lahore ये play हो
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it would be very maybe, I mean, in my humble opinion, it would be very unfair to put a lot of weight on the mentorship in general, because like anything in our life, and I think you and I would agree because we work in a similar space, and maybe हमने कराची में कहीं ना कहीं तो same चीजें experience की होंगी. So I think as mentor का काम ये नहीं होता कि he'll just come to your life and he'll change how you see the world. I think it's just एक कोई छोटी सी बात आपने कहीं पे सुनी, एक बंदे को कहीं पे आपने सेशन देते हुए सुना, and then something kind of strike to you, and then after a few years you will realize कि okay, this was I think the turning point of my life, right? So it wasn't any journey जिसको आप और मैं बैठ के sketch करेंगे. Okay, so mentors did that. I think like everything, it was everything in Pakistan उस time पे इतनी mushrooming stage पे था और अभी भी है in a lot of ways, that mentors were there to just by being there, they were doing a lot for people who didn't even know about anything for the industry, right? So मैं इस तरह से mentorship को देखती हूँ. I feel it's unfair to put a lot of weight on mentorship in a way कि अगर वो ना हो तो कोई startup flourish कैसे करेगा. Some people do really good without mentors as well, but just by being there, mentors do a lot as well. And that's what a lot of us are doing in Pakistani ecosystem too, and that's what incubators and accelerators are doing as well. So किसी के ऊपर भी बहुत ज़्यादा weight डाल देना to take the responsibility of the entire industry, I think
true
that's unfair. Yeah.
true अच्छा इसमें एक चीज मुझे भी लगती है कि it's more about getting connected with more people, again networking thing. ठीक है. उसके साथ साथ जो एक और important part आता है कि you connect those dots. आपको कहीं ना कोई बंदा सा मिल जाएगा सही ना. So I may get connected with some trainer सही ना. So मैंने उसकी एक बात सुन ली, वो मेरे मेरे एन पर्सन में जा चुकी है. ठीक है. So आप उससे रिलेवेंट में कोई काम कर रहा हूँ वो चीज मुझे वहां क्लिक होगी. And that's when I found कि यार this actually became my mentor. ठीक है ना. उसने मुझे एक अच्छी चीज सिखाई, helped me in my decision making and making a strategy. I mean होता यही है कि you don't push too much on this mentorship thing, rather than that कि आप जो है वो लोगों से मिलते हैं, that learning attitude helps a lot कि आप जो है वो चीजों को सीखते हो, and then when you connect those dots तो फिर आपको automatically overall एक अच्छी picture मिल जाती है, just to help yourself in what's your life.
Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting point. I don't think so. You just go out there and start looking for mentors. कि मुझे एक mentor की ज़रूरत है, मुझे एक mentor की ज़रूरत है. I think when you're ready and when you're at a place जिसमें you're ready to absorb the conversation from somebody जिसने इंडस्ट्री में बहुत ज़्यादा काम किया हुआ, you find it. And वो शायद कोई networking event भी हो सकता है, वो एक normal से guest speaker session भी हो सकता है, वो शायद आपकी और मेरी conversation भी हो सकती है, वो
True,
कुछ भी हो सकता है.
true.
So I think as an individual, or this goes for everybody who's listening to this conversation as well, we should be prepared ourselves to become, I think, mentorship ready before we go out and look for mentor. Because if you are not ready yourself, दुनिया का कोई भी mentor आपकी life में आ जाएगा, his advice or their opinion won't matter to you because you were not doing your own job. I think so this is why I feel that mentorship for me, it's a very this topic is very close to my heart because we recruit a lot of mentors for our accelerator as well, and I talk to so many people who either like to become a mentor or either we want them to come join us as a mentor. And the only set of value I think I see in a good mentor is that person is ready to give whatever he has learned to the person who is ready to take the advice, not to somebody who isn't even clear to what he needs from mentorship, right?
बिल्कुल
Yeah.
बिल्कुल ऐसे. Though again, that what you said is basically a connection of जो मैं इस शो पे बहुत ज्यादा बात करता हूँ. It's more about self awareness. सही ना कि जब तक आपको पता ही नहीं है कि आपने करना क्या है, ठीक है ना, you are not aware about your own skill set, your personality traits and what you want to do actually. So तब तक आपको किसी की मतलब एडवाइस देने का फायदा भी नहीं है ना. It's like you are being mentored by someone, लेकिन ultimately all the efforts are getting in vain क्योंकि आपको पता ही नहीं है कि जो आपको पास knowledge आ रही है. I won't call it a knowledge, it's more than a knowledge, it's an insight. अगले बंदे का फील्ड का एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ 10 20 50 years वो आपको बता रहे हैं in those 15 minutes or in those two sentences 5 sentences, and you are not actually mature enough, you are not aware enough कि आपको पता ही नहीं कि वो किस तरह से कौन सी चीज कहाँ फेस करनी है. तो इस लाइक अगेन आपके साथ तो ज्यादती है, अगले के साथ बहुत बड़ी ज्यादती है कि आप वैल्यू ही नहीं कर पा रहे जो इसने अपनी इन्फॉर्मेशन शेयर की.
Yeah, and try to look at it from this perspective as well कि किसी बंदे ने आके आपको कोई बहुत सारे puzzle के pieces दे दिए, this is what you have to do to make the puzzle, but if you don't even have the picture कि वो puzzle connect कैसे होगा, then there is no point of like asking somebody for the pieces of the puzzle. So वो picture पहले अपने दिमाग में आपको खुद बनानी होगी, and then there will be a lot of people who will come in your life and start handing the the puzzle pieces for you. So, and that's a really good point that you raised about self awareness as well. I think before we, and that goes for you and me as well. So it's a learning curve for us too. Before we go out and start seeking help, I think we should just sit down ourselves and like help ourselves out. Okay, what exactly am I seeking? Am I just seeking an advice? And if that advice is going to come to me, what exactly would be the next step जब मेरे पास इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का कोई प्रोसेस ही लेट डाउन नहीं है, कुछ पता ही नहीं है मुझे कि उस एडवाइस का करना क्या है. सो एडवाइस तो इंटरनेट पे हर जगह मौजूद है. आई मीन you just see one article and there are 3,000 unsolicited advice available there. So yeah.
सही 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 सही. कमिंग टू योर स्टार्टअप, आपकी जो जर्नी रही है, ठीक है ना. अगेन मुझे एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को लेके सही ना, द मेन थिंग इज कि इट्स वन मैन शो, ठीक है ना. यू स्टार्ट हम्बल और यू स्टार्ट बिग, व्हाटएवर द सिनेरियो इज. इट्स होता ये है कि इट्स यू हु बिगिंस, ठीक है ना. एंड वी हैड दिस डिस्कशन अर्लियर कि आप यू हैव टू वेयर दोस मल्टीपल हैट्स, है ना. तो आपने देयर आर मल्टीपल रोल्स जो आपको करने होते हैं. So how do how it worked for you, ठीक है ना, and how it actually helped and keeping up with your own mental health and emotional well-being, okay, how you managed it.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. So just because you mentioned mental health, I think it's going to be really interesting. So I think it ruined my mental health for straight 3 years. I had no life. I had like no. I won't call it like something like कोई बहुत negative चीज में, but I literally had no life other than work, and that was basically valid until last year, until like COVID का time जो था. I literally had no life other than work, and that was basically because I thought that I can do everything. I thought running like a company as a one man army should not be that hard. तो मैं ही HR भी संभाल लेती हूँ, मैं ही finances भी संभाल लेती हूँ, मैं ही बहुत सारी चीजें संभाल लेती हूँ. And then I think it took me a while to grasp the idea to start hiring people to provide me help. And that has been the most difficult decision, I think, जो मेरी entrepreneurship की journey में रहा है, is to come out of that bubble that I cannot do everything myself. I have to seek help. I have to hire people. I have to learn to delegate. I have to be ready that whoever I'll hire will make mistakes and it will just mess everything up. But that would be that's the whole point, right? So I think for me, it has been lonely, number one, and it has been difficult in terms of delegation. It took me a lot to just being comfortable with the idea of delegation, and it has also been financially, I think, very challenging because you're just आप ही अपना sounding board होते हैं. So whenever you're making decisions financially, you always go on a survival mode instead of just taking the risk. जब आपके पास कोई co-founder होता है, so it's very easy कि वो बंदा आपको कोई दूसरा perspective दे दे कि what you're going to do is going to be helpful or not. But I was my own sounding board. I was my own manager. I was my own everything. So sometimes I made very bad financial decisions as well in terms of business that I regretted. which I think if I had a co-founder would have been better because वो बंदा शायद मुझे या बंदी मुझे शायद ये करने से रोक लेती. So to answer your question, it has been tough. It has been very lonely as well. But what helped me a lot is just being open about it and as in have these type of conversation जो मैं आपके साथ कर रही हूँ. To people to actually start the conversation कि how tough it is. And a lot of people still say that it's just not going to work out. You have to find someone to work with you. Otherwise, sooner or later, you'll give up. So अभी तक तो वो नहीं हुआ, but I don't know अगले कुछ सालों में शायद हो जाए. But I'm sailing through so far.
Okay. So definitely, I mean, being in a one-man army, definitely वो कहीं से भी आसान नहीं होता, ठीक है ना? And startups definitely, they required a lot of effort. When I say startups, है ना, in entrepreneurship, this never means कि भाई हम किसी business की बात ही कर रहे हैं, ठीक है ना? I'll definitely quote my own example of my podcast. So yeah, so it's been an year now. So yeah, and I don't do it full time. I do it part time. Again, you know, it's only me जिसको जो है वो गेस्ट को जो है ना वो कनेक्ट करना होता है, उसके बाद फॉलो अप करना होता है, फिर उसके साथ जो है वो सारे फॉलो अप्स करने के बाद टॉपिक्स फाइनल करना, इन चीज़ों को रिकॉर्ड करना, ठीक है, देन अरेंजिंग थिंग्स एंड एडिटिंग एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स. अब ये सब कुछ मैंने ही करना है, ठीक है ना? तो इसमें एक चीज़ जो मुझे आती है, दैट्स इट इज एक्चुअली माय नेक्स्ट पॉइंटर कि भाई यहाँ इंपॉर्टेंस आती है सिस्टम की. यू हैव टू हैव अ सिस्टम, ठीक है ना? हर चीज अब वो जमाना तो है नहीं कि इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ स्मार्टफोन्स, ठीक है ना, एंड बीइंग अ टेकी आप वो तो कर नहीं सकते कि आप कॉपी कलम बैठ लेके बैठ जाएंगे, चलो यार स्टिकी नोट्स बना लो, कितने बनाओगे भाई, ठीक है ना, इतनी सारी चीजें करने को. सही है, तो इट्स बेटर कि यू हैव टू हैव अ सिस्टम, ठीक है, यू डू इट बाय एनी मीडियम, ठीक है, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं सिस्टम की बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस आती है. एनी टूल यू यूज, ठीक है ना, बी इट a basic notepad or a sticky notes on your laptop or phone, ठीक है, from making a calendar or something, सही है. अगर आप if you are on a journey, सही है ना, जहाँ पर आपने बहुत सारे काम खुद करने हैं and you are not ready, again दो aspects आते हैं ना कि you are not mentally prepared, क्योंकि आपका होता है ये कि यार आप बोलते हो कि पहले मैं अपने आप को तैयार कर लूँ, then I'll bring someone in to help me out. दूसरा बात है फाइनेंशियल कंस्ट्रेंट. आप बोलते हो कि यार I'm the sole investor, ठीक है ना, वही बात है कि मतलब सब कुछ मैंने मैनेज करना है, फंड्स एंड ऑल. सो व्हाई शुड आई ब्रिंग इन अभी से, ठीक है ना, ताकि फिर वो मेरे पर ही बोझ बने, फिर उसके ऊपर ही बोझ बने कि आई एम नॉट एबल टू पे इट सेल्फ. सो इस चीज़ों को मैनेज करने के लिए अल्टीमेटली यू आर द वन जिसको डील करना पड़ता है इन सारी चीज़ों से. द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग आई रियलाइज्ड वाज कि सिस्टम शुड बी देयर, ठीक है ना, अगेन डिपेंडिंग ऑन यू द स्कोप ऑफ इट, ठीक है ना, एंड द रिक्वायरमेंट्स यू हैव, कि आपको किन चीज़ों की किस हद तक कितनी ज़रूरत है, लेकिन यू हैव टू हैव अ सिस्टम, ठीक है, जिसकी बेसिस पे आप अपनी ज़िंदगी को आसान कर सकते हैं, टू कैरी थिंग्स फॉरवर्ड इन वेरी स्मूथ वे. What's your take?
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I cannot, I think, stress this part enough. Uh, I think एक चीज जो मैंने अपने पूरे टाइम पे when I was in the US and I was working with a company there, मैंने सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज आई थिंक कोई एक टेक अवे जो सीखा था अपने इस पूरे 2 सालों से 1.5 2 साल जो भी थे, वो ये था कि the the type of processes all these big companies follow, they are sometimes so streamlined कि sometimes you don't even realize that you're working and the work is being done. That's how smooth it is. So imagine that you're going you're going inside the Disneyland, and from ticketing to your first ride, you put a process उन्होंने design किया हुआ है. This is where you'll get the ticket. This is where they'll give you the stamp, and then next counter pay you'll get your ride ticket, and then wait time चल रहा होता है 5 minute. You go on the ride and you come back. ये पूरा process streamline किया हुआ है. Now imagine if you're just going in a Disneyland with the ticket that you've bought on the internet and you don't know where to go. And कोई भी process नहीं बना हुआ, right? So इतनी बड़ी जगह है, इतना बड़ा वो जो है वो it's an entire world inside Disneyland. So you'll be lost. You won't have any idea कि मुझे करना क्या है यहाँ पे. And then आपका experience बुरा हो जाएगा पूरा. So that's the perfect metaphor when you're running your own business, I think, as well. Uh, for each and everything, either is bringing like an employee on board, or maybe raising an invoice to the client, or just landing a new client on board for yourself. जब तक वो सारे steps as a process lay down नहीं होंगे within your own mind and then on paper or on Google Drive or whatever software you follow, जब तक you will feel that you're doing a lot, but in the result you're not doing much.
Yep.
So basically, as soon as you'll start working, आपके शुरू के 2 घंटे you'll just be working on sending email, responding to email, इस document पे काम करना है, इसको ये भेजना है, इसको भेजना है, and then 2 घंटे बाद you'll be exhausted. So आपका productive काम जो hours थे, आपने सब जो है वो गवा दिए into building documents instead of doing the actual work. But if you have built an entire process at the back end, आपको पता है ये template है जो कि जाता है, ये automation मैंने लगाई हुई है. As soon as client comes on board to me, I send him this welcome email. यहाँ से invoice raise होती है, and this is the cycle that's going to end. And I've done all of that to for my own sanity as well. And also now, whenever we hire, up to obviously I started delegating a lot of stuff. सिर्फ एक employee को onboard करने में, I remember it was a 3-day process. Just to make calls कि अच्छा ये documents आपने भेज दिए, अपने CNIC copy भेज दी, अपने बैंक के account का ये भेज दिया. I used to dedicate so much time in सब चीजों पे, and now it has become so easy. We have hired like an HR agency, if you know Zeta Corp. We just give them a call, literally, to be very honest. Okay, this is the person name, ये इसकी JD है, ये इसकी salary है, we are onboarding her. And they from A to Z they do everything. And sometimes I feel that was I like an idiot कि मैं ये काम खुद कर रही थी, because literally it is an entry level data entry type of work that I shouldn't be doing at first place. So coming back to, yeah, so for me, if you will ever try to talk to somebody who has worked for me, they will just vouch for one thing: the type of processes that I follow personally for my work and personally for the company that I run, they're just all at place. So somebody, अगर बीच में जो है वो किसी भी कोई cohort के बीच में भी jump कर जाए drive पे, उसे सब कुछ ऐसा lay down मिलेगा that he will feel home. Okay, so everything is here. I don't have to back and forth text Hira and see कि ये file कहाँ है, ये folder कहाँ है. Everything that we do is on spreadsheets. We create dashboards. We use Trello. We use sometimes हमने initially Asana पे भी काम किया है. Communication के जो respective groups हैं सारे, everybody knows the SOPs, किसको कहाँ से क्या करना है, किसको CC में रखना जरूरी है, किसको CC में रखना नहीं जरूरी है. So things like these, I think, and I didn't know any of this, to be very honest, when I was starting. It's just all the more I encountered problems and issues, जितना मुझे उस stress दिया है इन problems ने, I think उतने ही मैंने उसके solutions जो है वो ढूंढने हैं.
सही, अल्टीमेटली दैट्स हाउ इट वर्क्स. मुझे भी ये लगता है कि along the journey सही ना, यही होता है कि whenever you do something new, सही ना, that's how human brain works. कि भाई उसकी न्यूरोलॉजी ये है, ये कि वो काम ही है ना उसके ऊपर करता है कि यार मतलब सर्वाइवल है, ठीक है, अब मैं इसमें फंस चुका हूँ, सही ना, so I have to find the means. The best part मुझे लगता है कहीं ना कहीं for human brain, with all those negatives, the best part is कि यार we have the resources, ठीक है ना. तो mrgoogle.com is here for us, ठीक है. तो whenever I have an issue, ठीक है ना, so Mr. Google is the new mentor for me. I'm using this word mentor, सही ना, क्योंकि ultimately बहुत कुछ दे देता है, ठीक है ना.
Yeah.
Ultimately it's my choice that I consult with my friends or my colleagues or my people who are in connection, सही ना, to find the best. Again, आप communication building की बात करते हो तो Asana, Trello, and there are multiple systems available. It's you. तो क्या आपको पता है कि आपके स्कोप ऑफ वर्क के हिसाब से how much
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
invest, what again you can upgrade. The best part about this कि ये सिस्टम इतने ज्यादा स्ट्रीमलाइंड है, ठीक है ना, कि you start from very beginning, तो भी आपके पास सिस्टम होगा, ठीक है ना. एंड मतलब जितनी भी आप एक्सट्रीम सेट पे चले हैं, सो आपके पास जो ना वो जीरा ऐसे सॉफ्टवेयर भी अवेलेबल है. सो अगेन
Yeah.
depending on your requirements and your scope of work, there are multiple things. Delegation की बात करते हैं. एक चीज ये होती है कि अगेन जो हमने हाईलाइट किया कि एक there is one quote जो कि बहुत कॉमन होता है कि if you I guess I'm putting it right, कि if you want to go far, have a team. If you want to go fast, work alone. So
Yeah, if you wanna go
हाँ,
fast, walk alone. If you wanna go far, walk
for
together.
work together.
Yeah.
हाँ, so ये आपके हिसाब से when do you realize कि भाई अगेन आपको अपने पोटेंशियल का पता होता है ना. मुझे इस कोट को जब मैं एनालाइज करता हूँ तो मैं इस तरह से देखता हूँ कि यार you know yourself, है ना, एंड आपको पता है कि आपका क्या फेस है, ठीक है. So being passionate, being compassionate, and since it's your startup, it's your journey, है ना, so you take care of it as a child, ठीक है ना, you call it your baby, तो आप उसको अपने ख्याल रखिएगा. अब ये अंदाजा करना कि यार getting someone to sharing the same vision जो आपके पास है, and then delegating the things to that person, how important it is, और फिर किस तरह से आप उसको जो है वो उस स्पेस पे लाते हो जिस पे से आप काम करना चाह रहे हो.
Yeah, so जो अभी तुमने बात की ना कि finding somebody who shares the same vision. I think if I retrospect कि जो main मसला मेरा था for years when I wasn't able to delegate a lot of work, वो सिर्फ एक यही था. I think I was trying to find somebody. Let's just take an example of Caterpillars, जो कि startup ecosystem में बहुत involved हो, उसको बहुत ज़्यादा passion हो to bring more women in business, to help women entrepreneurs, and उसको ये problem जो है वो तंग करती हो कि uh, uh, why women entrepreneurs do not raise enough investment in Pakistan and all over the world as well. So मैं ये सब जो मेरे अपने pain points है और जो मेरे अपने I think reasons they to start something. I was trying to find the same passion or same muscle into another. Basically, I was looking for another myself, like my clone, and
True.
that was my problem. And I think the day I realized that, and मैंने एक Gary Vee की एक video थी that I watched I think couple of months ago. उसपे he was trying to find uh, uh, the answer for same question. He was saying कि you will if you are at 10 in your company and you're constantly trying to find a person who is at 10, 10, 10, you will never find it. So look for 7, look for 6, look for 8, which means
Yep.
अगर के the passion that you have, you're finding it at 6, वो जो 4 जो points हैं, वो loyalty, वो trust, वो जो आपके सर पे से काम हटेगा, वो सब चीजें जो हैं उसे fill कर देंगी. But don't keep looking at for somebody who is at 10 because you are at the 10. क्योंकि अगर बहुत सारे 10 होते हैं, so they'll be doing the same work as you, right?
True. Yep.
So I
Yep.
think that was the time just that opened my eyes. Ke no matter how control freak I am, is I have to let go. I have to like hire people. I have to make bad hiring decisions as well. So they make the mistakes, and I get stressed out. So I find a better person, and it's just and I to be if there is any tip on that part, I think I only started looking for people who I can trust instead of somebody who shares the same vision or passion, because that helped me a lot in basically letting go of the fear that what if they mess up, because if I
Exactly.
can trust someone, I know that even if they mess up, they don't mean to mess it up, they're open to learn, right? So I think for me
Exactly.
delegation wala part kind of fell into its place once I realized there is just so much that I can do, and a lot of time that I was spending on doing chores that can easily be done by somebody else. And मेरे एक दोस्त ने मुझे एक दफा ये बात बोली भी कि हिरा, the the only problem you have is you're trying to do a lot of the work that people have already done. So HR का काम, credit का जो invoicing का काम होता है, इसके लिए सॉफ्टवेयर लोगों ने बना दिए हैं. So if you feel that जो तुम्हारा तरीका है वो इससे बेहतर नहीं है, तो उसको करने की जरूरत नहीं है. And that was the eye
Exactly.
opener for me as well. कि अगर मैं कोई सॉफ्टवेयर अगर मैं Slack यूज कर रही हूँ, तो स्लैक से बेहतर तो मैं कभी भी नहीं कर सकती, राइट? तो मैं स्लैक क्यों नहीं यूज करूं फिर? So that was, I think, these were a few things I think that kept on like pushing me to be comfortable with delegating. So now I've built like an entire team. Sometimes it's just tough financially because we are just a new company, and we rely on external funds a lot. But I still feel in a lot better place just because I have a team and they take care of most of the administration work. So जब तक मेरे थर से वो काम नहीं हटेगा, I cannot make business decisions, right? So that's where I feel more comfortable now. Okay, I have people to take care of a lot of stuff.
True. Regarding the systems, तो मुझे याद आ गया कि the very famous line, why reinvent the wheel. just एक बार फिर it's wheel for you. सेना आपको क्या जरूरत है दोबारा बनाने की?
And especially
Again.
when your wheel sucks. The wheel that you're rotating is not even closer to the wheel that is out there. Then why are you reinventing it?
I mean, seriously, true. Wow, that's right. That's actually very right. Coming to the final pointers, I believe one more thing that I found out, on your social media pages, that you create content, and that's basically, to bring in more engagement. Uh, and actually, that's very rare that people in service industry, they do share, some basic content. But what's your take that, because I've seen that you are pretty much regular in sharing content via your Instagram and Facebook. So what's your take? How does it help you? And what would you suggest to people, who are in some any kind of service industry? and to share some content relevant to their industry to get maybe a community or some people maybe who are like-minded for them.
Yeah, so I'll answer this question in two ways. एक इसका simple सा answer ये है because I love creating content. So for me, it's very natural. For me, it comes to me naturally. So and I know for a lot of people it doesn't come to them naturally, but मुझे मजा आता है बनाने में. So that's one point. And this is why I don't feel like कि वो मेरा कोई बहुत ज़्यादा time लेता है because I enjoy doing it. And दूसरा जो उसका logical part है, and even though I enjoy doing it a lot, I still struggle to find time to create content like regularly. जैसे बहुत सारे लोग Instagram पे और जगह जगह बनाते हैं, मैं अभी तक जो है उतना रेगुलरली नहीं बना पाती. एंड बट क्यों बनाती हूँ, उसका उसका सवाल का जवाब आई थिंक ये होगा कि आई पर्सनली फील के जिस टाइम पे हम लोग अभी हैं, ईयर 2021 एंड ऑब्वियसली इन द फ्यूचर, एवरी आंसर टू एवरी क्वेश्चन इज आउट देयर. आपने जो बोला मिस्टर गूगल पे, आप कुछ भी लिखें, चाहे सही बात लिखें कि गलत बात लिखें, मतलब आप जो है सिम्टम्स जो है सही भी लिख दें गलत भी लिख दें, आपको पता है कोई ना कोई जवाब उसके पास है देने के लिए, चाहे सही हो या गलत हो. सो एट दिस पॉइंट आई थिंक पीपल आर नॉट लुकिंग फॉर आंसर्स 2021 में और फ्यूचर में. फ्यूचर में लोग सिर्फ आई थिंक कनेक्शंस ढूंढ रहे हैं, लोग कम्युनिटी ढूंढ रहे हैं, लोग वो लोग ढूंढ रहे हैं जो कि सिमिलर दिखते हों, सिमिलर काम करते हों, सिमिलर इंडस्ट्री में हों, सिमिलर एक्सपीरियंसेस शेयर किए हुए हों, या उन्हें किसी तरीके से इंस्पायर या एडमिरेशन देते हो, इंस्पिरेशन देते हो. सो आई थिंक in in the future onwards, that is the whole game. So if you really want to find your tribe, you have to create content. Because कोई भी आपके पास अब ये नहीं आएगा कि content writing होती क्या है, everybody knows, और नहीं पता तो जाके गूगल पे लिख लेंगे. But they would come to you because they want to share their experiences with you. They feel that they are a part of the community that you have. So मेरे लिए content creation has always been to find my tribe, to find people who share the same vision, to find people who share the same struggles, so I can help them, they can help me, and also to start a conversation about a lot of things that were not being talked before. Like ये सोलो फाउंडर की जर्नी जब भी हम बात कर रहे थे, आई फील कि मैंने आज तक कभी किसी को नहीं देखा इसको ऐसा मसला बताते हुए कि हाउ टफ इट इज टू रन अ बिजनेस without any co-founder. But we are having this discussion, right? So
Yep.
this is the piece of content. And if I go ahead on my Instagram and talk about it, I'm striking a conversation, right? अगर मैं वो नहीं बताऊंगी, so जो दूसरा बंदा जो कि सिमिलर जर्नी में है उसको कोई पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि people talk about it in the problem. So I think
True.
for me, I feel this as a need to strike conversations, to find my own tribe, who don't follow me for makeup advice, who don't follow me for any other advice. They only follow me because either they want to learn from me, or either they feel that we both share the same struggles being an entrepreneur. So yeah, mera I think why hai for social media, and that's what keeps me going. Even when I don't have time, I still sneak out some time to create content.
Perfect, perfect. So far so good, Hera. And I believe mentorship पे हम एक session और कर सकते हैं if that interests you, Saina.
Yeah,
Because
for sure. Yeah.
Saina, we stressed some more time for it, for sure. ताकि जो है वो appreciate some, कि हमारे मजीद हमारे हिसाब से क्या insights हो सकते हैं. लेकिन I highly appreciate your time once again. और कोई summary हो, so you can share to just to wrap it up.
No, that's it. I think thank you so much for having me. And if somebody who is listening to me and they don't know me, they can get connected with me on my website, it's www.hirasai.com, or DM me on Instagram. That's where I'm mostly active. But I think that's it. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Oh, perfect. I'll share the links for sure in the description. And looking forward to have you again. And till the next podcast, I believe that's it. Allah
Thank you so
Hafiz.
Thank you, Mars. Allah Hafiz.